Snoopy, Snoopy, come on, Snoopy, come home, come home, come home, Snoopy. Yeah. What about if I do it more like Elvis, right? Snoop, love me tender, Snoopy, Snoop. What? Oh. From 1972, it's Snoopy Come Home. Now, we've been watching all the Peanuts films. We're unfortunately not watching them in order, which is my fault, but in any case, this one had Snoopy in the title and you guys were all excited to watch it. I didn't think I remembered it, but I did. As we were watching it, I actually did remember it. I don't know why, but I remembered it. So
I thought that this was okay. The main thing that I really didn't like about this is I thought it was bad enough that they put a different tune in it, but they also put lyrics in this, which I did not like.
Okay, so by a different tune, are you talking about like the music underneath? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really miss the Vince Guaraldi jazz music. It's so iconic and so identifiable with the Peanuts characters. Again, this could be because we're not really watching things necessarily in the order that they were released, but I know Vince Guaraldi's music already was a part of the first film, and Charles Schulz decided not to use it in this film because he wanted it to be more like a Disney film, so it was accessible to everybody. But even though these were originally comic strips in newspapers or comic strips in books, once they were actually televised or put on screen and they used that music underneath, it's so iconic, it's such a huge part of Peanuts that it's like leaving a character out. So I get where you're coming from with that. In the case of the lyrics though, the songs with the lyrics, this is considered a musical, so those songs move the plot forward. And I guess we maybe could look at Lila's song when she's singing and she's writing the letter to Snoopy. You're actually hearing what she's writing. So they use that. I think maybe if they had included the normal soundtrack, the jazz soundtrack, along with these songs, it might have played better for you in that way.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of characters, I thought with this they were more consistent with the characters, whereas in Bon Voyage, they weren't.
I agree with that, and you made that point when we reviewed Bon Voyage, Charlie Brown, that the characters seemed very different than they had been, or the characters that you had become used to in the TV show. And they were more consistent in this, I agree.
The only one I actually thought was different was Peppermint Patty, especially at the beginning with Snoopy.
Again, I agree with you. It seemed like, knowing what we know about Peppermint Patty and her relationship with Snoopy, it seemed like they left some of that history out in order to make the beginning of this film work. Now that could be based on the release schedule, although I feel like some of the TV specials aired before this movie was out, so she already had a history with Snoopy, so it was a little bit different. And really quickly, we kind of had a dangling plot line with her because we did see her. We saw her at the beginning. We saw her again when Charlie Brown and Lucy and Linus and Peppermint Patty were pacing and all blaming themselves for Snoopy leaving. We saw her again when the carnival was in town and she and Charlie Brown went to the carnival. But we never saw her at the back end of the film to get resolution when Snoopy came home, which I thought was a little weird.
That's true. I think that maybe if I had seen this movie first instead of the TV show, maybe I would like this movie more. But since I saw the TV show first, I think that this movie is very different and I don't like it as much because the TV show is what I saw first.
I had the same problem when I was a kid. I fell in love with the television series. First I fell in love with the books, then I fell in love with the television episodes or the specials. Then I saw the movies and I felt like they were very different formula. Although nostalgia plays a huge part in this, I still love them because they're Peanuts in that case. Well, did you like anything about the movie?
Yes, I liked the opening song for this.
It's catchy, isn't it? Gets stuck in your head.
Yeah. It has a lot of color, and I think it's very funny how Snoopy's playing an instrument. It was the opening song that you sang.
Yeah, because it gets stuck in your head. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, interestingly, this was the first appearance of Woodstock on screen, and also the first appearance of Franklin. But where I think the movie is its strongest is when Woodstock and Snoopy are together on screen in this film. Their segments, their little sketches together are my favorite parts. They do feel very much like Peanuts, the Peanuts that we know from the television show. if only they had put that jazz soundtrack underneath, I think you would have seen no difference necessarily. But because it's a feature film, they've added characters. So there's Lila, who's Snoopy's first owner, and she's in the hospital, and she drives the plot because she, sends a letter to Snoopy and wants him to visit her. And so he and Woodstock go off to visit her. And then there's some other characters added in, like the little girl who sort of captures Snoopy. She thinks he's a stray dog and she captures him. And she's got a great song. I know you didn't like the songs and the lyrics, but her song is pretty fun and pretty funny, and she does her part really well because you're definitely rooting for Snoopy to escape from her, right? So it's not without some charm, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there were certain things you did like.
Yes.
Okay.
I think Lila, I thought that she was okay. I didn't like how Snoopy had a first owner necessarily. I don't think it's nothing against Lila. I don't think it's anything against Lila. It's just I always thought that Charlie Brown was Snoopy's first owner, and I like that.
I get that. And they retconned it a little bit for the plot to work, but, he still loves Charlie Brown and still goes home to Charlie Brown. Plot spoiler, sorry. All right. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, for you?
I'm gonna say this is one for free. I think that I liked the opening song, but the big part of this that I didn't like was that music with the lyrics.
I understand, and I don't disagree with your rating, and I completely understand where it's coming from. I'm still going to give it 1 to C, though, because, again, nostalgia plays a huge role in this, and these films were sort of very much a part of my childhood, so it's hard to not recommend them in that way. So for me, you can go home again. Get it? See what I did there? Yeah. Snoopy, Snoop. I won't sing anymore after this. Come on, Snoopy, come home. Come home, come home. See what I did there?
Oh, Daddy.